Well, we're still sowing lots of seed. And how you sow your seed, it kind of depends on what you're growing. If you're growing flowers, you can put them straight into a container. It can be a small pot, can be a large trough like this. And you can pick out individual blooms with the process, and I'm sure you're across this, called pricking out. You basically lever the roots out individually. You handle them just by one leaf. Fill up my compost. Should have had that done before, but there it is. Now when you make a hole in the compost, what sometimes happens is that, see these little roots, if you've got a lot of static, they'll stick to the side of the compost and they won't go down. So what I do is I get a pen, rub it on my trouser leg, and then, see this? It clings to the root and you can just drop it into the hole without fuss. Then you water them in. Some plants you sow cheek bajowl. Wildflower mixes, ipomoea, sweet peas, all those sort of things. Stick 5, 6, 7 seeds in the same container and up they'll come. Same goes for leafy crops. You can grow them in cells in small pots, cheek bajowl, and a cluster of plants makes one plant when you plant it out. Herbs like oregano are great for cluster sowing. See what I've got there? A single cell filled with dozens of the seeds. Now they've all come up and I can make lots of plants out of this. Now I could take them out individually like I did with the pricking out, but the issue with that is it will take ages for the plant to fill out its container. So what I do instead is rip up the clumps. Don't be afraid of doing this, it doesn't harm the roots at all. In fact, ripping's better than cutting because you maintain more of that root system. It sort of pulls apart, and you take clumps like that to make larger pots. I've put this into something like a 1 litre. Fill up the pot with compost, drop that in the middle, and the roots of this will soon spread out. Fill that out and it'll be ready for planting, and that will be a bonny little pot of oregano. One other way to sow, and particularly useful if you're making vegetable beds or filling out your veg garden, is in cell trays. Now these are my chili peppers, they're still coming on, and what I did was I sowed 2 seeds of each variety, lots of different varieties, in the cell trays, and then they come up, and when they're big enough they can go on into individual pots for planting out after the frosts. Thing is, when you have different varieties grown in cell trays, you can see the runners and riders are all at different paces. So you've got to hoik out the ones that are ready, say for example this big fella here, before the tiddlers next to it. So you don't want to go pushing underneath through the hole because that's a bit of a pain. See these holes in the bottom? Some people do that, push up through like that to get them out. What I do is just get a pen or a fork, pop that into the compost and just lever the whole lot up like that. No fuss, no stress, and it means that I can hoik out all the biggest ones, pop them on, leaving the tiddlers to find their feet and spread their roots and fill out the pots for potting on at a later date.